Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusters.pod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters. I can't believe we finally got to the last film of our 1960 round. It's been so long.
My. How long's it been?
When did we start? When did we start doing this 96? It felt like it was the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it fucking
It's
did.
like it's been that long.
I feel like it was right at the beginning of July, you know, because I had some time off, I think the first or second week of July, and I remember recording The Handmaid that week.
It was 12th of July we released it, so it must have been, beginning of July.
Wow, and here we are in the last days of August.
There we go.
Is it the longest we've been stuck in a year?
Probably, but it's not that we haven't, we put 2 episodes in between as well. That's why.
That's true. You boys recorded while I was away, so it's been 6 episodes. So we're totally fine, boys.
Yes, we're fine.
Totally bloody fine. The listeners are getting aggy, though. They want some stability. They're writing hate mail. They're telling us to get rid of our egos.
Adam.
Yep.
Get rid of our Adam.
And for all new listeners, this is what we do at the beginning. We don't give you any context. We don't tell you who we are, really, other than that intro. And if you're a regular listener and you skip that intro, well, we actually put a fucking hidden message in there this time round, so you fucked up, and that's on you.
Yes, you got to reverse it as well to hear what we actually say.
Oh, yes. This is the Film Busters podcast. We're at your service and have been for almost 6 years. We'll continue to be for another 6, and then the end.
And then the end.
Let me decide.
12 years.
Yeah.
12 and done.
We always said we would do a baker's dozen and we'd be done.
I'm very excited, though, to talk about what themes we've noticed throughout this 1960 round.
That's a new one, isn't it? Yeah. The themes. Well, I noticed one theme that was in 2 films, so I can speak to that.
We do speak about themes, a running thing that we see through films.
Yes, we do. I couldn't pluck one this time.
I've got a little bit of something. Hopefully it makes sense.
I have a little something, I suppose. I might be able to embellish it.
Yeah, you might as well. Just make out like you actually thought of it.
Yeah. And thanks to Katie and Oti for starting us off on this, because they kicked it off with 1960.
Yes. Thank you, Katie and Oti. I'm excited for everyone to find out what round we're going to next.
I know. Me too. And who will be joining us in that round as well.
Oh, yes.
We've got a guest.
Special guest. Yes, indeed. Right, shall we move swiftly on to somewhat talking about what film we're doing today?
Let's.
Why not?
Okay, so we are talking about Eyes Without a Face. But before we get to that, let's just talk about the Patreon. We've got a Patreon at www.patreon.com/filmbusters. We can get exclusive episodes. You can suggest films for us to do. You can come on the show. You can get bonus episodes. And it's all very wonderful over there. Adam, what are we doing on the Patreon that people can listen to after this episode?
We are talking about the best films we have watched in August. It's classic. We do it all the month. And yeah, there's some good films being talked about on there. It's actually a very long episode as well.
It is chunky.
Yeah.
Well, until we edit half of it out because we can't use it. But until then, it's long.
Yeah.
People can get that beautiful content for a mere £1.
Yes.
Can you believe that? Mere £1? That chunky content?
That's a bargain.
It's a bargain. That's what it is. So you should go over there after this episode at www.patreon.com/filmbusters. But should we move on to the staple of every episode, Adam?
Yes. Do you want it?
Let's do it.
You ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 1.
No, you got to set a context, Adam, for
piss
listeners.
off.
God damn it! What about all the newbies? What about the new people? They don't
Well,
understand
then
what the
go back
hell's
and
going
listen to the
on.
last episode and find out the rules from that one, and then listen to the whole episode, and then come back.
What
and listen
about
to this
all our
one.
French listeners that are coming in now?
Okay.
Yeah, all the Frenchies.
Well, I'm going to ask these two pricks a question. And there's going to be two questions. And if they get it right, they get points. If they get the questions wrong, I get the points.
And what are the scores?
The scores currently stand on Ben's losing, Paul's winning, and I'm in the middle. No, Paul has 16, I have 13. And Ben has 11.
Yeah.
I only have 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get no points last couple of rounds, so you've been slacking.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a 19. No worries.
And if Adam does get a point, it'll be the first time he gets the point in his life.
You laughed this time.
Yes.
I tried Blaze. You said that last time as well.
I know, I'm just going to keep repeating the joke.
Okay, and then someone might laugh eventually.
Everyone's laughing at you. Everyone.
Right, do you want the fucking question, or do you want to?
I want them.
We'll keep on
ready?
laughing at you for a bit. Yeah.
I'm sorry about the pronunciation of a name in this, but you know who I mean. Anyway, for question number 1. How many names was Dr. Genesis holding up at the little boy?
What?
Oh, how many numbers? 4 and then 3.
Yes, but Paul got it right.
You said
He
names
said how
when
many
you should have
names?
said numbers.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, come on. That's not a question.
How many fingers?
Mate, well, you said how many names?
He said names. I had to kind of break the code.
No, I said
of
I'm going to
Adam's
get the
question.
name in this wrong.
And then you said how many names was
You
Dr.
did.
Blah
You
Blah
did,
holding
Adam.
up
Did
to
I?
the little boy? I'm like, what?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
It was a riddle.
Yeah, you've got to decipher what the fuck Adam's talking about before you can even answer.
Well, the question was, how many fingers was he holding up at the
Yes.
little boy?
I objection. Well, I'm not accepting that.
Okay.
I accept.
You
We'll
better
work it
come
out
up-
at the end. I'll think
No,
of another
no.
question.
Yes, let's hear it.
All right. Question number 2. It's another order these films with the same word in the title. Are you ready for the 3 films? You've got to put in order.
You've
What
got to tell us
order,
what
though?
order they're supposed to be
I'm
in.
going to say bottom to top, okay?
All
Okay.
right, based on letterbox ratings, is it?
Based on Letterboxd this time, because there's no TV series.
Better box.
Okay.
Okay, Eyes Without a Face,
Yes.
Eyes Wide Shut, and Heels Have Eyes.
Which Hills of Eyes?
Women's
Which one?
Heels.
Heels Have Eyes, whatever you fucking call
Which
it.
Hills of Eyes though?
The original.
Okay.
Okay.
From lowest to highest.
Mm-hmm.
Who
I'm
who
gonna-
speaks first?
You both get attempted it separately.
Okay. I was letting you go first.
All right, I'm going to say The Hills of Eyes is lowest. Eyes Without a Face. No, I'm going to say Eyes Wide Shut in the middle, and then Eyes Without a Face top.
Okay, Paul.
Even though that wouldn't be my order.
I'm gonna say Hills have eyes. Eyes without face. Eyes wide shut.
One of you have it. One of you has it right. And that person
It's Paul.
is Paul.
Fuck, is what I was going to go with first. I changed my mind at the 11th hour.
Beauty.
I just thought that people didn't respect Eyes Wide Shut, so I thought it probably isn't as high as I think it is.
I just thought it's Kubrick, so it had to be high.
There we go, he's
Okay.
got a point.
Right, do you want me to think of another question?
Yes.
Thank.
Funk.
Think of
How
another
many,
Come on,
names,
have a
how
question.
many names did Dr. Genesis hold up at the little boy?
I'll fucking
held
hold
up
one
a
finger up at you in a
Paul
minute.
worked
He
out
held
that
up
was
Paul.
fingers. I was thinking, held up names? Why? What?
Anyway, shut up. You ready?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
You ready? A classic one. What is currently the most popular film on Letterboxd?
Oh,
man.
Oppenheimer.
Well done, Ben.
There you go.
Christ. Well, at least
Well,
my
Adam-
objection was worth something.
We're trying to put Adam in the dust at least.
Nearly,
He
he's
deserves
nearly
it.
in the dust.
He deserves it for that.
Old Boy is number 6 of the most popular films currently at the moment.
Old
really?
boy, why?
Oh, because it had a re-release recently.
All right.
Must be because of that. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Thank you. 17 for me then. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. 12 for Ben.
Still 13 for you. Old
Yep.
chumch, old salad bubba. Yeah, how you feeling?
I don't care. I don't really want the points. I want you two to have the points.
You don't want to be quiz host next year
It's been fun.
because we don't want you to be either.
Yeah, no,
I'll pass it over.
we want to understand questions. How many names did Dr. Genesis hold up to the little boy?
Hennessy.
His name's not even Genesis.
I didn't say it was I said it's Genesis, isn't it?
Whatever you said.
You said Genesis, probably. Sounds like you.
Genesis.
How many names did he hold? Like, why is he? I was like, what fucking little boy is it? And what do you mean holding up names? I couldn't.
So
Would
what's
you
his
have
name?
got the right answer
That's
anyway,
John.
Ben?
That's definitely John. What's this
know,
one?
I
This is
wouldn't.
Peter. What is this one?
You
This
wouldn't have
Paul.
got the right answer.
I wouldn't
so
have. If you'd said how many fingers did he hold up at the little boy, I would have been clueless as well. So, well
There's a
done,
bit in the
Paul,
film
for
where he
even
keeps
getting
going,
that.
how many fingers am I holding up to you?
I seem to recall that. Yeah,
These films in this year have been horrible to make questions out of. I'm
I
sorry.
bet they have. I bet.
In your opinion. Anyway, should we move on to this film?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
The film is Les Yeux sans visage, Eyes Without a Face, by Georges Franju. It's a classic shocker from 1960, and it's an extraordinary piece of work. Some of you may remember a decade or so ago, I introduced it on the Film 4 Extreme channel, and it got an extraordinary response. People hadn't seen it before and were amazed that a film from 1960 could be that gripping and indeed that shocking. The film is melancholic and very, very lyrical and deeply sad, but also in certain moments visceral and very shocking. There is centrally a sequence which involves a face transplant, which for 1960 is genuinely extraordinary. The film is black and white, and in many ways that monochrome photography adds to just how alarming that sequence is. But the power of that film to alarm hasn't settled down at all over the decades. In fact, if anything, the film has grown more extraordinary as the years pass.
Right, everyone, today we're doing Eyes Without a Face from 1960 by Georges Franju. That was perfect pronunciation.
Yeah, that was good.
This is a spoiler episode. If you haven't seen the film, we're going to spoil it terribly for you, so you might want to go watch it first and then come back and we can tell you all about it and what we thought. Otherwise, just let it wash over you and be completely ruined. We've got someone who's been to film we've done before, and I'm sure Ben can tell you. But let's let Adam guess. Let's let Adam guess because this CV's done the research.
Did we not send it at the end of the last podcast?
What did we say?
It was from the girl from the person from Holy Motors at the end.
Very well done.
it is very well
remembered,
done.
Adam.
Aye.
Very
I
well
was
done.
listening.
Edith Scobb. Yes.
Edith Scobb.
Yes.
Edith
the lady with
Scobb.
the mask. She is in Holy Motors as
She's
well.
got a big scob on her.
Very big Scobb.
Terrible.
Right, Adam. Tell us
Yes.
the plot.
This is a film about a lady who gets in a car crash, who was caused by her dad, and then he's a surgeon and he feels really bad about it, so he goes around drugging other women, beautiful women in the town, to try and recreate her beautiful face.
Oh, he loves the women in this town, doesn't he?
I know.
Very beautiful, he says.
I know.
Well, that's what they were saying.
You like the French woman, don't you?
He's got an eye for the ladies. He has this one.
Ben, have you got anything about this film?
Well, I've got a few bits. I know that it's one of Mark Commode's top 10 films of all time.
Wow.
Wow.
I know. Julio, if you're listening, that's your man that you always like to quote on the Contrarians. It's one of his top 10. And even though I felt the need to cover this, because even though we didn't pick Psycho as one of the films in 1960, it's mad that this came out the same year as Psycho. I just thought that was quite interesting. Anyway, it was adapted from novelist Jean Redon's story of the same name. The book was told entirely from the perspective of the doctor/father character. And apparently, by shifting this story to the daughter's perspective ever so slightly, it made the Doctor a more sympathetic character for audiences, which is what the filmmakers were going for, because they were trying to please the censors, because they had been told you can't make this film faithful to the book. So they had 3 instructions. They had to not use blood in order to get around offending the French censors. They had to not show animal harm in order to get around offending the English censors, and they had to not use mad scientists to get around the German censors, apparently. Even though
scientists.
arguably they have all of that in there, arguably. I'm
Yes.
sure there was blood, there was definite animal harm,
There
obviously
was
not
definitely
real.
blood.
Yes, but maybe not as much as you might suspect, I suppose. Anyway, and many people argue that because of getting around these censors, it made the film more disturbing. Apparently, when it was screened at the Edinburgh Film Festival, 7 people fainted, leading the director to say, "Now I know why Scotsmen wear skirts."
Terrible. Terrible line, he says.
Very xenophobic, isn't it? Racist, I would say.
completely.
And he's also doing a disservice to women too. Also sexist.
Absolutely.
By saying
he's
only
ticking all the
women would
boxes.
No, terrible man. And Edith Scobb didn't like it being referred to as a horror film and said it should instead be called cinema fantastique instead. Fantastique. So,
Cinema fantastic.
yeah.
Fantastico.
And that's what she said. And if she said it, you know, who are
must be
you
true.
to disagree? And also she appeared in Holy Motors, so we may as well keep saying that.
Might as well say it again.
Yes. Leo Carax paid homage to this film in Holy Motors.
I was meant to watch the scene again. Did you watch it again?
I was going to do that as well. I didn't.
Yeah, I totally forgot.
I thought you said you were going to watch the film again.
I did want to, but then I ran out of time. I was like, well, let me watch the scene. And then did. Yeah.
I believe
Anyway.
from memory, it's mainly her sitting in the back of a car and walking around the car place
In like a
with
limo
the mask
garage.
on.
Is it
Yes.
when all the limos are talking?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah. That is it, isn't it? Yeah.
That's how that film ends, with the limos talking and then him going home to his monkey family.
yeah. Great
God
film.
bless you, Holy Motors. Fucking hell.
Okay, this is my episode. I picked this film, so I get to decide the first impressions and what order we do them in. I'm going to go first, then it's going to be Ben, and then it's going to be Adam.
Okay.
Look at that.
There we go, we're going to mix it up.
That's a new order.
So, this is the second best film we've ever done. To remove a face and put it on another person. It's a first time watch for me, and just through like osmosis, I had like a certain idea of what this film would like roughly be about. But when it started, I was like, oh, it's some sort of like murder mystery, because it like immediately got its claws in me, and like this mysterious woman dumping this faceless body in a river, and I was like, because I didn't know what to expect. I was thinking, oh, that's the woman who needs to wear the mask. And I was like, oh no, she's in a river now. What's going on? And that with that creepy visual of her sitting in the back seat was pretty cool. Then it goes on to the.
Those who battle dryness.
Careful,
What the hell's that?
he's watching videos on his phone.
I know, this
I'm
guy,
watching
man.
anything on my phone.
This absolute idiot, as always.
Oh, I didn't realise the audio was on Instagram. Anyway, then it goes into the fact that there's actually two missing women, both with their faces removed, and I was like, man, this is ticking the boxes. I was so eager to find out like what was going on, and then you find out it was actually the secretary of the professor's daughter, and it was like tantalising as hell, and then very quickly, all is revealed, and it's still pretty juicy, but I was like, what now? I was trying to figure out what they could possibly do to pull the rug from under me again, and it just never really does. So immediately I felt like a little slump from that exciting beginning, but mostly because of how invested I was in the opening. I just felt like a little disappointed now that the mystery was over, but that didn't mean that all like what followed ended up feeling a letdown, and I don't think it was really in the slightest. Its biggest props has to be the sheer violence and gore it puts to the screen, especially for a 1960s film. I thought that was pretty incredible. The operation scene in the dog attack scene, I could imagine absolutely rocked audiences back then. Although reading into the trivia, I don't know whether they would have actually been in there. Because
What do you mean, whether they'd been in there?
It seems like it didn't get put together in its full glory until like until the 2000s or something.
Yeah, I saw that as well. It like got re-released at some point.
Yeah, so I don't know what actually got put back in. It wasn't in the trivia, but because even still at the time, I found it pretty gnarly. Even now, especially like the dog attack scene, I thought that was very well done. It looked real as fuck. And although it's pretty predictable, everything else held up too. That was in between, like making for a nice little package. Though it's definitely lacking what was so special about that opening, I thought, and the music too. I thought that was quite. It was jarring.
It was strange music.
But because I quite liked it. It was like circus music, which was strange, but I kind of dug it. And I can't wrap out without mentioning the mask. It was a great effect. How it almost blended with her skin, so it was like incredibly off-putting and created like a pretty cool dynamic when you couldn't really work out her emotions when everything was going on. But that's my first impressions. There you go.
Well, just to leapfrog on your final comment there, apparently John Carpenter said that it inspired the Michael Myers mask.
Yes, I saw that too.
The emotionless aesthetic, which is very unnerving, because I was unnerved by that look also, and her walking around with that mask was very unnerving. Is the word, rather than scary, but it was very unnerving. But the thing, like what you said at first, you're like, oh right, this is a murder mystery type thing. This is what I kept grappling with as the film was going on. It was like, am I supposed to be scared by this? Is this a horror movie? Because it was never scary, because there wasn't really a monster that we were there to fear, because we knew the daughter was a victim of her dad driving like a dickhead, basically. So we knew the daughter was a victim and that she wasn't causing any harm. We just knew that he was dumping these women's bodies in order to surgically transplant a face onto his daughter. And it's like, okay, this ain't scary, and this isn't really all that dramatic for me, because you're going to have to introduce something new. I wanted there to be some twist in the tale, and I thought the twist, because I'm with you, Paul. First half hour, I was very much there, like, okay, keep giving me this reveal, and the reveal that I thought we were going to get was that when that one girl broke away, she was all bandaged up and plunged to her death out the window. I thought there was going to be a reveal there that was actually his daughter, and that the girl was actually alive.
I actually thought that for a second, the second when she got up and ran away, that it was her running away and not... And it was only when they talked about the characters afterwards.
And then we didn't get that. And after that, like you say, it all was a little bit by the numbers. And that's the shame of it, because it could have been something more. And I have to say, I really don't get why this is so revered, because it is revered. Like Commode's top 10, really considered massive in France. I feel like I must be missing something, but I just didn't really get it, because ultimately it's a tale of a surgeon who has some guilt for, disfiguring his daughter, and decides he's going to kill these women so he can make his daughter beautiful again. But here's a couple of things. Number one, are you willing to pretend your daughter has died and then make her beautiful again and then never interact with her, rather than just be like, oh, she's terribly disfigured, but here's my daughter and I'll try and do some surgery on her. I couldn't get my head around that bit. It was like, I
think was it not the fact that he was responsible for her looking like that would be questioned, so he kept her away from the society?
Well, maybe, but then by doing that, he's okay. Well, anyway, it's the morals of the character that I was questioning. It was like, all right, I don't really get this. Like, you're completely willing to just pretend she's died rather than have her whatever. And I think the trouble is, unlike something like Psycho, at the time when you watch horror films, as we have done a few now from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, I think for me anyway, if they're realistic, if they're based in reality, I can dig them. And if they're not, if they're too much fantasy, I can't dig it in the way that I could if they were released now, because I just don't think effects and suspension of belief doesn't work in the same way, because stylistically the acting is so distant back then to what we have now. I think if you also have a fantasy film, like in the way that I didn't gel with The Thing from another place, it just doesn't work for me anymore. If you had a more serious story, I could gel with it, but the fact that this is a surgeon who is transplanting other girls' faces onto his daughter, I couldn't buy it. It was just a little stretch too far for me, and I never really found myself enjoying too much of it. But at the same time, I could dig certain beats of the story. It was competent at the story it was telling. It just wasn't particularly engaging. And I think there's better versions of these stories in the Hammer horrors of the 40s and 50s, and in the Roger Corman stories of the 40s and 50s. All the stuff that Vincent Price was doing with Roger Corman was ridiculous but playful. And this just, I don't know. It did feel very French, I have to say. It felt very French.
The part when they started talking French.
Yes,
particularly
the part where they start talking French. It just felt a very French idea of elevated horror. It just didn't feel elevated to me, and yeah.
Okay. Well, I actually kind of agree with both of you. It did start off quite on the strong foot, but then once you kind of realise It is just him being a bit of a mad scientist or surgeon and trying to...
Don't say that to the Germans.
Don't say it.
Anyway, yeah, him being a bit of a madman and trying to make his daughter pretty. It was just kind of, it didn't really kind of change the gear again. It was kind of like, okay, we're in this gear, we're kind of coasting with it. I don't think I kind of enjoyed it. I was with the film for the most part, but yeah, it didn't do anything to blow your socks off beyond the first bit. I mean, there was some okay effects, especially for its time, when they were doing like the face transplant and that type of stuff. But it didn't really. I don't know. It kind of started with a big punch and on the right foot, and then it just didn't really kind of land the second one. But I also read somewhere that apparently the director said it's not a horror film; it's a film about anguish rather than horror.
Well, there you go.
He was a bit surprised when people keep thinking it was a horror film.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe
it's like the horror doesn't come from violence; it comes from people, doesn't it? It comes from I think it's more about like how society views people, and I don't know, you can't be beautiful and all this type of stuff, and
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm wrong for viewing it as a horror film, but the fact that the lead actress,
horror film and stuff, I think he was. The director was a bit more like, no, I didn't make this as a horror film. I made this as a film of anguish.
And if the lead actress is saying, I don't like it being referred to as a horror film, then clearly everyone is viewing it as a horror film. So that's kind of your fault if you're marketing it in that bracket originally, which I'm assuming they were in the 60s anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, they got so much horror beats in there. Like, just her wearing this mask is creepy enough. These people going out of the way to kidnap these women, and literally we see them remove their faces, and I think there's horror in that. Especially like in the 1960s horror. What do you expect? You're not going to get that kind of the horror you know of today.
No,
that's what you kind of expect.
The mask thing, I'm assuming this is probably the first time that there was, in a horror film, but not a horror film, like a mask, a full face mask used for horrific effect.
And I thought it was very well done, the mask.
It was
good. It was great effect.
It was simple but effective.
It was good. And the minute that I clocked the sort of Michael Myers connection, I was very disconcerted, because it was like, God, this is like a female Michael Myers here, because she moves very... There's a moment in it when she calls her boyfriend up, who thinks she's dead, and she's wearing the mask, and just down the phone is just breathing down the phone while he's like, who is it? And it's like, this is that scene in the original Halloween when Michael picks up the phone, and Jamie Lee Curtis on the other end of the phone. I'm sure that's JC took inspiration for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Even
there's a bit as well when she was like looking over the bodies as well. That was quite disconcerting. She had that,
Yeah.
It is very. That is probably the most interesting thing about that film. But I think once it's done though. It doesn't really. And there was a couple of shots when you saw her face, didn't you? Almost like a reflection of it.
Well, I wish they hadn't done that.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you about this. There is that moment where the one girl is waking up bleary-eyed from the drug, the chloroform, and she sees her without the mask on, and it's like, get that ketchup off your face, man. This is not a good look.
It is like the reflection of Nicolas Cage in Face Off in the metal.
I thought of that, but even that is better.
Yeah, of course, because we love that film.
Yes.
That helps.
But this absolutely as well must have inspired Face Off to an extent as well, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
That shot where the surgery scene where he is removing that face is very fucking similar
also,
to the surgery in Face Off.
Also, what pencil draws on skin like that? Well, no pencil's that good at drawing on skin.
Like a makeup pencil?
Maybe.
Anyway, he did not need to draw that pencil. He could just cut it. I'm pretty sure.
I know.
But I thought it was a great effect, though. I think it was a really good effect.
It was a very clever effect. It was a very clever effect. It looked really like when they kept putting those clipping scissors, whatever you would call them, on the edge of her face.
Pliers.
Is that what they? Yeah, pliers. Yeah,
that's what he kept saying.
It was like, oh fuck
Scalpel,
me, man.
Pencil.
It was a good effect. If that was seen by audiences in the 60s, if that wasn't edited out and that was seen, I could really imagine that having a very overwhelming effect on them. They must have been shocked.
This is what I'm saying. So I absolutely agree with you in the terms of I don't understand why people love this film so much, because I don't think it's an amazing film. But at the same time, it's like, well, look at what they're doing in a 1960 film. They're having someone fall to their death out the window, see their head, bloodied head on the floor. You see someone removing someone's face. That dog attack scene, man, it looked like his face was being bitten.
It's funny you say that, but that passed me by really. I know that it happened, but I don't remember thinking, oh God, this looks
What would you
realistic.
have done if he was keeping cats?
What would I have done? Nothing. I'm watching a film. I can't interact with him for real.
No, but would you have been annoyed? Would it put you off the film?
Well, I have a note here that says he has all these dogs. What is he actually doing with them? Is he
He's
transplanting
testing them,
dogs'
isn't he?
faces onto other dogs' faces? Is that what he was
I think
doing?
he's just testing, isn't he? He's just a mad
But
scientist.
we saw no testing. We just saw them
Yes,
in
you did.
cages.
Yeah, but I think it's implied.
You didn't see that. They did.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a moment where you see one of the German shepherds laying on the table, and he has a different colour patch of skin. And he's been removing skin from other animals and planting them on other animals to basically see if the skin
How do you know he has another different colour patch of skin? The whole film's in black and white.
Because there's a square of
remember
different
this.
colour on this animal. It's a very brief scene. It's almost like they needed to put it in to explain why there was dogs there. Because at the same time, I didn't feel like there was obviously these dogs.
Is it a dog that he takes
horrendously
away on the
caged.
pole? Is it like all to do with that bit?
It's that dog, yeah. It's that dog
Okay.
that it happens to. Yeah. But I
Well.
never feel like he's mistreating them in any way for them to suddenly all want to attack him. That's the only thing.
They must have such sore throats barking all the time. That feels for them.
Very noisy. Very noisy.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, I can understand why people see this as like a renowned film for the time, because they got some stuff in here that I'd never seen in any other film so far for the time.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the reason for it to have such a
There's
high...
a romance on it, I think. That's what is more than ever, I think, with this.
I know, but there's a romance in all those things. Like, there's a romance in things like Psycho and stuff
Yeah,
underpinning
but Psycho's
it.
a good film, deep down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how this really stacks up against something like Psycho.
No.
Not that
Because
not,
all the elements are working with that film. You get you almost get like just the same as this. You get a different kind of opening where it's unrelated to what the actual film ends up being, but then it has interesting elements after the fact as well. And that's why that works so much more.
Psycho killer. Let's see.
I reckon the thing about this film is that I reckon you could play it on 3 times the speed and still follow it. And that's a bit of a problem for an 85-minute film. It's not, and I was never bored. I'm not saying that because I was bored. I wasn't ever bored during it, but it's just like there was not enough happening along the way for you to have to follow much of a story beyond what you were seeing just in fleeting moments. Because the minute you understand that this has happened to his daughter and he's trying to get replacement faces for her, you learn that about 20-25 minutes in. There's a whole hour of film after that doesn't really do a hell of a lot with that premise then.
No, you could explain this. You could explain the plot to the whole of this film in about 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
I did it.
Exactly. Adam did the whole thing, and incompetently, Adam.
He did it in about 2 words.
It's not hard to work it out, is it?
Right.
No,
But
it's
like-
one of those films you're like, am I missing something? Has the plot moved on here? And then you start watching it again, you're like, oh no, they are still doing the same. We are still doing the same part.
It's very beat by you know exactly what to expect. I don't think there's anything like what happens that I wouldn't
I thought
expect.
it'd be like a grander ending almost, like when the police turn up and all that. But
Well, it kind of subverts it a little bit because he gets killed by the dogs instead. A big surprising thing was her jumping out the window.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah,
I do agree with Ben. I did think it was his daughter at first, and then that would have made it a lot more interesting as well.
yeah.
They could have gone down that route a little bit, because then it could have been, and now we do the expose on him because maybe he thinks that is still his daughter. That's
He removed the
alive
bandages.
because there's a face and all that stuff. Yeah, but it didn't do that.
Yeah, for something so like exquisitely like wrapped up in mystery in the first, like for the introduction, there's no mystery after that. And,
No.
and even still, even still, his assistant, the lady who actually goes takes the other women, I was like, oh, there's going to be a reveal that this is the wife who died.
Yeah, and that's what I thought, and it never happened. No.
I was like waiting for them to like have a passionate kiss or something, but it was like he kissed her on the hand, and that's it.
I know.
That's probably really sexy though in the day.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yes.
Yeah,
They could cut people's face off, but not a kiss.
People really fainted that part more than anything else.
Yeah. Although not the French, they're very promiscuous. The French.
Oh.
But yeah, they had promise and premise. Arguably, up until the moment where he interacts with his daughter, who's face down on the bed, I was in all of that up to that point. I was going with, and then they had it seems like everything we're talking about here now, they thought was enough to ride the story out. We're talking about the mask and how unnerving that is, and we're talking about the surgery scene. And it almost seems like the director was like, oh, well, once we've established that mask and the surgery scene, we'll just let this film run on its own momentum. We don't need to do too much more with the story.
In the day, though, I do.
Yeah, well, maybe it was. But like, just everything that was coming there, it was like, oh man, this is a little corny arse. The ending when she frees the dogs and they attack him, and then she walks off into the woods with the dove. I'm like, can this get any more French?
I forgot about that.
Like, where's this dove come from all of a sudden, for fuck's
She
sake?
should have walked away in a limo. That's what she should have done. A talking
She
limo.
absolutely should have got into a limo.
That would be, imagine like before, how so ahead of its time before the film even came out. People are like, what?
Yeah. It's predicting Holy Motors, and Kylie Minogue was already in the back seat of and she's like, I'm not even born yet, but you wait till you hear my music. We'd be losing our fucking minds.
As the car door opens, la 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 la, and then closes.
Yeah. I mean, why do you think he put her in Holy Motors?
I'm not sure. I can't remember the context of the scene.
It's just they go home and she just walks around.
It's a fucking huge film in France. Is that right? This film is huge in France.
Yeah, so. I can imagine, yeah.
But with everything we're saying, if it's not a horror film and it's a film about anguish, all right, let's imagine it is. But really? If you watch this as a drama, are you thinking, oh God, that drama, oh, it was so sad? I know it's meant to be sad, what's happened to her. I don't actually feel that sad. They don't do enough to make me feel sad. They don't do enough to make me feel like he's guilty, really, or anything like that. But I know that's what they're obviously going for, but I don't feel any of that stuff.
Do you reckon it's that whole thing of the time when you weren't allowed to say the man was really bad? Like, he still had to have a good idea of what he was doing it for a reason.
But this is the year that Psycho came out.
Psycho.
We see how terrible this fucking man is.
It's very true. It's very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Psycho might have come out and they might not be aware of what was happening across the pond.
Well, it's not like the Americans to be ahead of the Europeans, I've got to say. But in this case, they were. Oh no, they weren't, because Hitchcock's British.
Yeah,
even though it's an American film. Someone running a shower in your room, Adam?
It's not me.
Well, Zoe just boiled in the kettle.
All right. Oh, look at you incriminating your microphone on your side for once.
Oh, well, I'll tell you straight.
Yeah.
I'll tell you straight. One thing that I did notice, I wonder if you picked it up. Do you know the secret door in the wardrobe?
Yes.
And then he goes into his like little operating theatre. I was like, this looks like the bathroom from Saw. Did you think that?
I didn't clock that, but I can see what you mean now there. Yeah.
There was like the little sink on the wall. And I was like, oh, this is nice. This was the inspiration.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It inspired a lot, this film.
It did inspire a lot. But it also inspired a song by Billy Idol called Eyes Without a Face, which I haven't heard. I don't even know what it sounds like. Shall I play it?
Yes.
Yeah, go on then.
I don't know how this film could inspire any song, really, but let's see what Billy Idol...
I think it must have been a bit like some... I mean, what's the other one we did? Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Well, here we go. Here's Billy Idol's Eyes Without a Face, folks.
Are we listening to the whole song?
Sounds like a horror thing.
This sounds very...
Yes, I know this
I
song.
feel like I've heard this song before.
We must have all.
definitely.
Anyway, you can.
No, this is the whole song
Oh,
there.
Yeah, we know that song. Perhaps Paul
Yeah, we
can
know that
lace it
song.
underneath the background of the remaining conversation.
Oh, yes, maybe I can. There you go.
Idol said he improvised some rap verses over the riff because rap was everywhere in New York at the time. Idiots.
Well done.
Idiots. What a pathetic musician you are if that's how you... Well, whatever.
It was everywhere at the time.
It was everywhere, so I decided to do it even though I can't do it.
I know Adam brought it up in the quiz, but I thought the whole bit with the hospital with the little boy was very jarring. It was just so out of place. I didn't understand why I was there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it was to show that he was doing it like he was actually a real surgeon and this was a real place going on.
But there was no context because it was like 4. Oh, he's saying 3, and then they looked at the doctor afterwards. Oh, you think the same as me? It's like what?
Yeah, I know, that's true. Do you know what's funny that you say 4 and 3? Was that your answer to the quiz question earlier, Paul?
Yes.
So I'm looking at my note here. I've forgotten that I'd written it. I've written, he tests the boy's vision who says 3 fingers and then 2 fingers.
Yeah, because he says 1 less than what he's actually showing him each time.
Well, who knows who would have got a quiz question right then.
Nobody got it right. We cancelled it.
Yes.
Because you're miserable. Even though you said you didn't know the answer, even though you've written it down.
I know, well, I forgot I'd written that down. The things that I liked about the second half of the movie, though, was after his daughter does get the facial replacement and she's sitting at the table, the actress, Edith Scobb, does something very good with her eyes. I don't know if you boys were noticing it, or maybe I was just reading into it, but it really looked like her eyes were unnatural behind her face. Like, obviously that's what she looks like, but she was making her eyes bulge slightly to almost make them seem unnatural.
What I found quite interesting was the bit when they said about the whole thing of it all just deteriorating and it not working.
It was very jarring, that bit, but at the same time I kind of liked it. I didn't know how else I would have liked to see it.
Yes.
But I thought it was quite good.
I've written down here, I like that it stops being silly and actually shows the graft being rejected here.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, no, we're actually like, this is almost meant to be like a science experiment film. It's not just a fantasy now that they're living in a real world in which everything's perfect.
Yeah, that's what it feels. It feels very medical. Like it's just the doctor speaking through his notes kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also, it's almost, there's a little bit of like creepiness there because you're like, oh, what they're gonna say, what's the next slide they're gonna show us? How horrible is it gonna get?
Yeah.
So I quite like that.
But I mean, strong defenders of this movie would say, I mean, we don't often do this, but can I ask you, Paul, to read out a couple of the comments that we got, because I think everyone was really a fan of it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to address some of that here.
Yeah, of course, we can do that now. So we got Peter Sutcliffe, and he says, this is a great picture, unsettling and heartbreaking. Well, we said unsettling.
It is unsettling.
Go heartbreaking.
Yeah, see, the heartbreaking, I think you would like the film if you get that from it, but
yeah.
you didn't get that.
It's
I mean, they're
certainly
aiming
unsettling
for
with
it.
the
It
mask.
is. You know what it's like, and this is the thing, and I don't mean it as a disrespect to the film, but just because something says in a film like, oh, this is a sad situation, that's not enough. You have to make me feel that sad situation.
Yeah, feel the
emotion. That's what makes a good story, a good film, you know.
It's a sad situation.
It's like
That's
in
the thing.
EastEnders, people have heartbreak all the time, but I'm not sat there going, oh, sad, because I don't give a shit.
Because I think that's it. Because it's so cold, you have this cold surgeon with his assistant who's so cold, just taking people and taking their faces. Then we have the daughter who's always wearing a mask, so it works in a sense that you'd never know what she's feeling, but also we never know what she's feeling, so we can never get in line with her emotions ourselves. So I think that is what it's missing. Yeah, you never get like any punch in the heart at any time.
Yeah. That you're right. It is because it is quite sterile on that. But if you strip it back, if you can take a step back and go, okay, this poor young girl, her dad was driving like a dickhead and has destroyed her facially and is now making sure that the love of her life isn't able to see her and stuff like that, is a sad situation. And that is a sad situation, yeah, but when I was watching it, I wasn't feeling that.
But do you know why? Because
Why?
I feel like she just lets it happen. She's like, yeah, well, I'll take this woman's face until she realises, actually, I'm not going to take this one's face.
And my other question actually is, several women are killed in this film, or die in the course of this film, from the body being dumped at the beginning to she who jumps out the window, etc. Why does he not use the face of the very first woman?
He
That he
used
done-
quite a
It
few of
didn't
them, though,
work.
I think. I thought the idea was that he's used more than one. I think that was kind of implied as well.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Is it?
Yeah, because he's like, this time I'm going to cut a bigger space or something like that, he said.
Yes, that's what he said, yeah.
Right, okay.
He said, I'm going to cut it into one whole piece rather than multiple
Yeah,
pieces.
that was it. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't you do that? Of course you cut it in one whole piece. Who wants to play jigsaw with a daughter's face?
I think you're trying to get it tight to the face, like sticking it in on the nose rather than letting it... The graft might become easier. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, he's a very silly man, considering how easy it was to just draw a circle around that lady's face and remove it. There was no muscle, there was no tendons, nothing there.
Nothing.
It just came off like a slice of pastrami.
Didn't even cut under the lips, just came off.
I know, all came off very neatly. I would have loved to have seen a bit of muscle tear or something, you know. Just give me one or two veins that stick.
Do you want to hear another comment from someone?
Yeah.
We got LJ Human, our mega fan. And
Come
he
on,
says,
what's LJ got to say?
part mad scientist, part serial killer flick, Franju clearly wants to explore human suffering, guilt, and self-loathing, but the film leans into spectacle rather than drama. Generally creepy, especially Scott's performance from behind the iconic mask, and hugely influential.
It was. I can't argue with much of that.
I agree. Yeah.
I just didn't think that it's incredible, but it is all those things.
Yeah.
But it's just.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good and does that, and that's about it.
Yeah, I agree.
If it didn't do it straight away, it would be better if it left some of the stuff to build onto.
You know what? There is an argument for that, Adam. You're right. If they'd hint, but then again, then it would have been a horror
It's like
film
seeing
for sure.
Jaws at the beginning.
I know.
You see the whole shark at the beginning of the film. You're like, okay, now I don't need to. You can't up the ante. But see him bit by bit.
You're right. If they had just found a way to hint at this person moving around with this mask
Like
in
mirroring
early
him with his
proceedings, and you didn't know
glimpses,
what the fuck that was, and you still were led to believe his daughter was dead for like the first 45, 50 minutes, and there wasn't even a suggestion that his daughter might be alive, and we see this figure all the time, and then there's a reveal that it's his daughter. That could have been effective. But you're right, it's too early. It is too early. They shot their load too early.
There was something there was a slow reveal. They as soon as you realise that something's not quite right because they're trying to make the funeral look right, we have this really long pace from the professor going up the stairs, and it's like, okay, he's going to see something now, so it's clearly his daughter or something.
Yeah.
And it was like a very tense walk up the stairs, and then the reel's just her laying flat on the bed. So it's like, well, it didn't need to be that long then, did it? There was no big reveal. We just saw her.
Yeah. I know, you're right. What was I going to say about that point in particular? Fuck. Oh, something about what you were just saying there.
About the funeral?
Yeah, something about the funeral. Yes. It's not a common trend across all the films, but this is the second film in a row where we have a funeral for someone who isn't actually dead.
Oh yeah.
Ah, true. Yeah.
If only the
bad
other two
sleep well.
films had the good grace to include a fake funeral. Maybe
Yes,
in
just
the
for
house,
the podcast.
Maybe in The Housemaid, they had a fake funeral for the rat before it actually died.
Did it die? Did it even die?
Well, there we go. So maybe that was a fake funeral. And what was the other film we saw? Oh yeah, nobody died in Saturday Night, Sunday Morning.
No.
They could have had a fake funeral for Arthur though.
Well. There was a man throwing something into the window of a funeral parlour.
That's true. So death is the common theme.
He was angry about his fake funeral, that man. Clearly.
Men being men. Angry.
Men being men
men.
throwing stuff in windows.
Angry men. Well, I would argue, if we are going to just talk loosely about some things, what we see here about the portrayal of man, you could read it two ways. Kind of like when we were in the Housemaid type times, we were trying to work out, is it a pro women or an anti-women film, pro-masculinity, anti-masculinity. In this film, the guy's dickhead because he's the destroyer of his daughter's beauty, destroyer of worlds, whatnot, and he's destroyed at the end, rightfully so. But at the same time, we're kind of seeing a man here who's being praised for healing this woman at the expense of other women, and the women only care because of the men. She only cares about what she looks like because she has a fiance.
Yeah.
So,
do you want me to tell you my theme that I feel like running throughout?
Yeah.
I think it's men's presumed control over women.
Yeah, that is it.
How they feel they're like the dominating ones when really the women have the upper hand come story's end most of the time. Where like this one is, as you say, she kills the dad. And then in Saturday Night, Sunday Morning, the female, although it feels very much like he is in control of the relationship, she has all control because she's in control of the baby that's being born.
Yeah, he succumbs to her.
Yeah. Handmaiden. Yeah. I mean, we'd have to say anything about that because that's pretty much the whole story. And then, what's the last one?
The Bad Sleep Well.
The Bad Sleep Well. The daughter basically says to the dad at the end, "I'm leaving." She has control. She takes it.
Although doesn't say anything because she's gone mad.
Doesn't.
It's the son who says it. He says she's gone absolutely fucking batshit crazy. We're leaving.
Didn't expect that. You have no control over me now.
No control. Men destroying women is in there as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Apart from him. Or men try, but that's a story as old as time.
Of course. We see that a lot in most of these older films.
Yeah. Taylor's Old as Time, Beauty and the Beast.
Should I give you the last comment from our listeners? Might as well wrap it up.
Oh, yeah, there's another.
Yeah, we got R.L. Terry, and he just says, "I always show this movie in my world cinema class when on my French cinema module. So it's obviously very, very influential."
Well, there you go.
I kind of get why you'd show it in a class.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's as important as people go on about it, you kind of have to. As long as you show them Lahane afterwards, it's all good.
I mean, there will be some tropes in there that we haven't picked up on. Like Ryan will be able to say, this was the first time that this happened and it led to this, this and this. Like we've picked up on for The Mask and some of the surgery scenes. There'll be other things that presumably happened in it that were like, and this led to this happening and this happening in the genre. But as a standalone, I'm sure that's true. As a standalone, there isn't much else. You know what it's like? I bet there are people who are like 60, 70 years old who may have seen this when it first came out and adore it and are like, can't you see how influential it is on all the things you love? And I'm like, yeah, well, Sword does it better.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, sacrilege. It wouldn't even exist. Like, Saw's shit compared to this. And I'm like, well, I enjoy this more.
That's always going to happen. You always look back to the old, don't you? And say that is the better.
Yeah.
That's what we do when we're
loads of
old
people will go, oh, Halloween isn't scary at all. What's scary about that? It's like, oh, you don't understand. You had to be there. I guess you had to be there.
You had to be there. Yeah.
Anyway, full disclosure, boys, I watched this film in its entirety in a pub.
Did you?
Yeah. I was in the pub I was sinking a couple of pints and I had my headphones in. I was sitting outside and I had my phone and there was no one around. And I thought, you know what? I need to watch that film. I'm going to watch it now.
Do you think it was a good way to watch it? Did you forget
yes,
the experience?
It made it very unique. I'll never forget watching it. Just in the pub outside on the benches, sinking a couple of pints of Ansbach and Hobday bitter. It was a fine way.
Was the screen big enough though?
Yeah, it was. I mean, you know, it was what it was. I was watching it on my phone, so sue me.
Sue me.
David Lynch would be most disappointed in you.
He would say, it's such a sadness that you think you've seen a movie on your fucking telephone. It's true.
Oh, Mr. Lynch. Should we move on to our ratings, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, as we've said, we found a lot of holes to pick in this film.
I reckon we're going 6s across the board.
I'm going for a 7. I'm going for a 7 still. I don't think it's that bad. I still enjoyed myself to a point. I thought the beginning part, I mean, it kind of soured the beginning now because she kind of knows what happened. But I enjoyed the first experience of it enough to be like, that was a great opening.
Yeah.
The rest of it was just, it was good. I got through it and I thought it was good.
I got through it, and that's the thing. I don't think it's a bad film either, and I'm not saying it's shit or a bad film. I just didn't find it overwhelmingly a good experience. It was good for what it did, but what it did didn't impress me much, like Shania Twain said. So it's a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a 6 out of 10 for me as well. You probably guessed that when I said
There we
6
go.
across the board.
It's
alright.
almost
It's probably in
masterpiece.
the upper end of a 6, but yeah.
Was there any point when you were higher or lower than either of those, and then something happened and it shifted you another way?
Not really, because I think the film started to kind of slow down by the point when you're thinking about a score.
Mm.
I mean, the opening scene, I was like, this could be a great film.
The opening
So it
scene
could
was
have been an
very
8.
Hitchcocky,
Yeah,
but then he got
For sure.
too cocky and he messed it up.
Yes.
he did.
So,
But I still had a good time, regardless.
well, I will never watch it again.
I would never watch it again
of
either.
exactly what you say. Is like the thing is like the best it's ever going to get is on that first watch. Not because there's some great reveal like Saw or something like that, but just because all its cards are on the table now, and I don't know what you'd gain from a second viewing. Analysis
I agree.
only, an academic analysis at best, I would imagine. But there you go. Sorry, Frenchies. So we average out that score at 6.33. So we need to begin placing it, boys. And
Very low.
Very low. The verdict, better or worse? The verdict is better for me.
The verdict is better.
Well, there we go. And there it stands.
We only got
So-
one 6.3.
No, we have others, but they are... we got loads of 6.3s, but it didn't get past the first one.
Oh, sorry, yeah, of course.
Criminally, as far as I'm concerned, this is above Waking Fright.
Don't even go there with Waking Fright, mate. That does
Mate.
not deserve to be there. That deserves to be very lower.
No, you just got twisted by the animal stuff, mate.
Horrendous.
Yes, we talked about that. Listeners, go and listen to our Wake in Fright episode. Wake in Fright episode. I had a couple of Australian relatives over a few weeks back.
Oh yeah.
And I was talking to them about this film, and they were talking about when they first saw it. They're old enough to have gone to the cinema to see it, and said the thing is, even though yes, obviously with hindsight it's shocking and it was surprising at the time, Australians didn't bat an eyelid because it was so much a thing of the norm then. It wasn't
every day.
what it's considered to be now, like in that sort of shocking way.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wake in Fright's wonderful. So that's that.
There we go. Very low. I'm very
But-
sorry. Eyes without a face.
We are now finally at the end of our 1960 journey.
We are indeed.
So, I will ask you boys, and let's ask Adam first. Who was your favourite character out of all these films? Or most
Arthur.
representative character, whatever you want. You're going Arthur. I'm going Arthur too.
Hell no. I'm going Wada from the Bad Sleep Well. I thought it was a cool
Which
little
one was
character.
Wada?
Wada was the one who was at the top of the mountain about to kill himself and he saved him.
Oh,
Good call. Good
I thought
call.
it was a great little character, a great actor to play that.
He was. But Albert Finney was fucking incredible as Arthur. He embodied
He was.
the frustrations of...
Yeah,
The British
it's
youth.
true. It's true, but I didn't like it.
That's
I
fine.
liked it. It was fine, but I didn't love it.
Well, let's have from you, Paul. What was the most representative scene or best scene of the whole run?
Well, you might not agree, but this scene I'm never going to forget just because of how jarring it was. And this is the end of The Housemaid. When
guess
he
what?
addresses
I'm
the audience.
exactly
it's got to
with
be,
you.
hasn't it?
Yes.
It's got to be.
And the ironic thing is, it wasn't, out of everything we've seen in these 4 films from 1960, it was the only thing that none of the directors intended. It was
Yeah.
like the studios doing it. That's why you remember. We knew
So
you
nothing.
read out
weird.
there.
It's so weird to think about it again now. Like,
I know.
nuts.
It is.
Almost like forgot about it, and bang, it's just like
Nothing has lived up to that moment since it happened.
You can always bring that out. Like, imagine saying that to someone. They could be like, "What?"
I know.
There's a whole film, and then they address you at the end of this film.
I know.
And it's like saying it's all a lie.
Because of those fucking censors, man. It just happened back then at the time. You know, it's the kind of thing that if Tarantino were to do a sort of movie from the time or something like that, he would do that. He would probably do that in a modern day movie now anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Best line.
And favourite line out of all of the films, it was hard to pick one, but it had to be something from Arthur, and more often than not, it was him asking for a drink. But I love the fucking sentiment. I always have before I even knew it came from this film. And it's the line, "Don't let the bastards grind you down."
I was going to say it was him saying whatever people say I am, I'm not.
I knew you were going to pick that.
It's just obvious, but yeah.
Mine is also from that film. But
Oh.
mine is, "I'm out for a good time. All the rest is propaganda."
Nice.
Propaganda.
Arthur, 63 years later, your words still ring true, son. And this is something that we never do, but I think we should because it makes the most sense. We should, as we end the round, rank our best to worst, just to confirm.
Yeah, for sure. I can do that.
I am going Saturday Night, Sunday Morning, The Housemaiden, Bad Sleep Well, and then this one.
Wait, so you're going best to worst?
Yeah.
So you went Saturday Night, Sunday Morning.
Housemaiden, Bad Sleep Well, Eyes Without a Face.
Wow,
But I feel like the bottom
Housemaid
three
is your
could-
second favourite.
I feel like the other three could change places. I can't remember what I gave the Housemaiden actually saying that.
You
I
gave
might
it
have
a
given
7, so it stands up.
Yeah, so I think I gave these last two a 6. So
Oh, there you go. And what about you, Paul?
So, top place goes to The Bad Sleep Well. Second place goes to The Housemaid. I'm the same. And then third place is Eyes Without a Face. And then last place is Saturday Night, Sunday Morning for me.
wow.
Christ almighty, shit on a stick and all that business. Well, complete reverse. Saturday Night, Sunday Morning, top for me. Bad Sleep Well, second. Housemaid, third. And Eyes Without a Face. Bottom dollar. $1. I got $1.
There we go. Right, so that's 1960. Ben, or Adam, whoever wants to do it, tell us what round we're doing next.
I know the film, I don't know the year.
Well, go on,
Well,
you say the film.
And
So on the next episode,
You say the film.
I'm being
I'll say the
replaced.
year.
I'm not here. You're going to have Julio instead of me. And the film that they are covering is A Few Good Men. And I think it's from 92.
Well done.
Yeah, that was a
We're
good.
going to the 90s. We're going to the 90s. I was 6 in 92.
I was 2 in 92.
I was -2.
Wow. We're going to a
look at the
time
spread
where
on that.
2 of the 3 film busters were in existence and 1 wasn't.
Wow.
In a world where Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson collided, one young Adam wasn't even a twinkle in his daddy's eye yet.
Have you seen this film, Adam?
Yeah, I've seen it before, yeah.
Okay, I've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
I watched it ages ago, like when you're trying to go through like famous films.
I've never seen it. Adam, you'll have to give your score before the recording.
I will. I'll
And,
try and do a little voice note for you guys as well.
Oh, will you? Jesus.
oh, that'll be amazing. And while we
I love
will,
that.
of course, miss you, we are delighted to have Julio returning to the show.
Yes.
When was the last time Julio was with us? What film was it?
Oh.
It wasn't... fucking hell. What was the Chaplin called? Limelight.
Limelight.
Wasn't that, was it?
Way. No.
He hasn't been with us this year, I don't think.
He must have done. No, he
I'll be able
hasn't.
to tell you. I'm going to tell you right this second.
All I remember about
was
Julio on the record was
Wildlife.
always... Oh, was it Wildlife?
Oh,
of
yeah. So
course.
last year.
He always turns up with a giant cup. He's always got a big cup of something.
That is true. He does have a big cup.
If Julio turns out without a big cup, I'm going to be disappointed.
Very
Come back from my
disappointed.
holiday
Julio.
to say no. Get a big
Well,
cup.
we will miss you, but we are kicking off a new round 1992. And Adam, I'll be picking first. You'll be picking last in 1992 this time. So don't get too wedded to your choice too early.
I haven't really looked yet.
It's a big fucking year. 92 has
I know.
so much
the 90s
potential.
are hard. Like, there's such a variety of where you can go with it.
I got a film that nobody has seen that I'm ready to drop for 92.
Oh, good. Wonderful stuff. Beauty.
Anyway.
Well, can't wait. Should we do the patron recommendations before we wrap up?
Yes.
Right, everyone. Yes, our patrons, they suggest films for us to watch, the best and the worst they've watched last week. And we
Excuse me.
Yes.
Before you talk about the patrons,
Yes.
an emergency broadcast, an emergency alert.
Go on.
It was just something that occurred to me. In the past, have chastised me for constantly bringing up Kevin Spacey.
All right.
I do believe that the man has now been cleared in court of all charges.
Oh, yes.
So I will expect written apologies on my desk tomorrow
I
morning.
always think it's so weird. I still don't. When people get done for sexual assault and then the case gets dropped, I still think there's something.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Innocent until proven guilty, my son,
I know,
isn't it?
but there's always. I feel there's so many reasons why someone would drop a case against somebody, all that kind of stuff.
He's gonna be in films again, boys. This is actually what's
I
gonna
still
happen.
don't think anyone would. I don't think people will take it up.
They will, because there's been people. Mate, did you not see Elton
Is
John's
it?
video a few days ago?
Well, I don't know. What was it when?
Him and Elton John are sitting at a table belting out songs together, arm in arm.
Yeah, but Elton came to his defence in court as well, didn't he?
Well, there you go. Anyway,
Shall I carry on?
we better. I'm meant to be going to bed.
I know. Don't know where I got to.
Just start the
I
whole
might as well
thing
start
again.
Right, yes, everyone. Our patrons, they send us what they're watching for the past week, the best and the worst, and we speak about them, and they tell us whether we should watch them or not. And then we tell you whether we've watched them and whether you should actually watch them. And that's it. If you want to become a patron, you'll become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, and you become a patron just like the likes of Luke Bennett.
Yes, you can. You can also join Francis Cibarini.
You can join Andy Bishop.
You can join Steve and Mark from Movie Drone.
Yes, you can also join Brent from Home Video Hustle.
You can also join Luke Human.
You can join Nerd Revert.
Yes, you can. You can also join my replacement for next week and starting off a new round, Julio.
Oh, and you can join Jamie Russell.
And you can join Katie and Oti from For Your Reference. Right, first of all, we've got Luke Human, and he says, finally slogged my way through 1962's Lawrence of Arabia. There's scale and realism here that I've scarcely seen before. The sheer logistical feat is staggering, and O'Toole's commitment to the role is admirable. Sorry, that messed my tongue up. Unfortunately, in the desire to tell the story of Lawrence with as much sweeping majesty as possible, much of the tension and excitement within the political and military context is lost. Not great. That is, this addressed that first. So have you seen Lawrence of Arabia?
I have the Blu-ray and I've never watched it. I've had it for like over 10 years, I swear, and I just cannot be bothered to watch it.
It's too much of a
big hitter.
Yeah,
It's heavy. It's long, isn't it?
It's a big hitter, and it's one of them, you know, when they're like old times. What do you even call that period? What is it? What's that period? Fucking 10th
What
century?
period?
Whatever it is.
when it's an old film tackling an old like part of history.
Yeah, it's a historic.
Yeah.
It's a historical epic,
Yes.
sweeping
Yes.
historical epic type nonsense.
Yeah, it's quite like, I got to be in the mood for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen it a long time ago. Can't remember anything. I probably
No.
saw it in my early teens or something.
Yeah.
So, but it's not great anyway, apparently. But not
give
many
that the
people
miss.
say that through history of reviewing films. So who knows?
Who knows?
Watch it, maybe.
But Luke knows what he's talking about most of
Yeah.
the time, so I'm sure it's okay.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure it's not okay. I was just prattling off any old shit then. I clearly wasn't listening.
Much better was my first Welsh language film, 2021's Gweld, which means feast. Both the language and the landscape lend themselves well to folk horror, and William's story is masterfully rendered by Jones's clean direction. We're dip-fed the story elements. While it doesn't take long to understand what's going on, there's enough uncertainty to the outcome to preserve a sense of mystery right up until the end. A minimalist, surrealist horror that gets its message across with some serious aesthetic style and without being too heavy-handed. I've never heard of it.
No, it sounds like The Menu, in a way.
I've never heard of it either.
Well, get it added to the list.
I don't think I've ever watched a film in the Welsh language either.
No, that's true. I don't think I have. The Celtic language.
Maybe we'll add that to the list.
Get it added to the list.
Get out to the bloody list.
And finally, Julio hits us with Air. Was a good guys rock movie, as a friend put it in his letterbox review. I know us enlightened film appreciators are supposed to balk at how it glorifies capitalism, or we can try really hard to read it as a subtle criticism of it, but bottom line, it's got good actors doing good work, and sometimes it's just fun to sit back and let movie stars do their thing. I agree.
Yeah,
I watched it. I enjoyed it. It's a bit like, I think it is, well, I watched it back to back with The Founder almost. It is that kind of same film.
Oh, did you?
It's just
interesting.
Well, we watched The Founder one night and then we finished off the next morning, and then Chelsea was like, oh, I like that film. Should we watch another film that's like that? And I was like, let's watch Air. I've been meaning to watch it for a while. And and then off the back of that, I've been rewatching The Last Dance with her, and now Chelsea's obsessed with basketball.
I still haven't watched it.
Last Dance is incredible. I mean, you do have to have some interest, I think.
Fuck is Last Dance? Never heard of it.
It's a film. It's
Michael
Michael Jordan documentary.
Oh. I mean, the thing about Air that is good, Paul, is that you don't, if you're like me anyway, I have no fucking interest in basketball. And you don't need to have much of an interest in basketball.
It's more about the story.
Air.
Like, you've actually got Air Jordans as well, haven't you, Paul?
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I've never had a pair of Jordans.
The history of them.
Beauty. Okay, well, that's a good shout, Julio. Thank you.
And Ben Affleck is quite a spectacle in it.
Yeah, with his feet on everything.
Yeah, very hippie-ish. And so is Matt Damon. The podge on him.
He wore a fat suit, though, for that.
No, he put some weight on as well. I'm sure he did.
No, apparently he wore a fat suit for it.
He must have done a bit of both, because you can't tell me that was a fat suit around his face. That looked like real fat, man.
I don't know, I didn't notice the face, but I know his belly bit. But did you think the part of it, I mean, it's not really a spoiler for anyone, but maybe it is, they don't show Michael Jordan's face in it at all.
Well, that's good. I like that.
And it's apparently because he said it was like, he's too famous and he'll take away from the film. And like, you can't have an actor who, no one can play this, like, because there's no one who's famous.
It didn't need it anyway, and it was the start of his career, and it was more about the mystique of this guy than actually needing to see him anyway.
And he said Michael Jordan said he'd only let them, make the film if Viola Davis played his mum, and Viola Davis said she'd only do it if her husband plays her husband.
Oh, well, that's all very nice then.
Oh, cute. Nice.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nice seeing Adidas and Converse and all that, all the rival sports firms and the bids that they were trying to put in to beat Nike. I liked it.
Yeah.
Cool. I definitely got to get a watch of that then. Thanks, patrons.
It's on Amazon Prime as well, if you...
Yeah, wicked. I keep meaning to watch it. Thank you, patrons.
Thanks.
Well, and thanks, Julio. I guess we'll see you next week, Julio.
Yes.
After that. Very exciting stuff.
Better get my 1992 research in.
Better get through this.
I hope you have a good break, Adam, and we'll see you after the next episode.
Where the fuck are you going anyway?
I'm going to Spain.
Oh, well, you hope you are. If the flight, air traffic...
It's next week, it's alright.
It should be alright.
Going next Thursday.
Where in Spain?
San Sebastian.
Okay. How long for?
For the weekend.
I did not approve that leave.
Well, you're going to have to deal with it anyway.
Okay.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Goodbye.
Paul, I'll see you next week with the J-Man.
Yeah, boy. Can't wait.
Fieldbusters.